Hello and welcome to Hardcast. Join us for a gritty tale of sex, nanites, and violence. I'm Humphrey Earn.
And I'm Chris Claus.
Lifeline. Give me Bloodshot Reborn, Volume 2, The Hunt. Issue 6. While eating at a diner, Magic has read the file of Bloodshot, but he doesn't want to know the contents yet. All the while, the next target is killing cats. Festival and Hoyt get to know one another better. Bloodshot leaves Magic behind, but decides to take her with him. Agent Festival and Hoyt apparently have sex, although Hoyt underperforms. As Bloodshot and Magic zero in on the next target, Bloodshot realizes that another nanite-infested human is hunting down the remaining targets as well, resulting in the teenager getting killed for his nanites. Alright, back to Bloodshot. So I gotta say, immediately just art-wise, I'm actually very satisfied with the art change here.
I don't even remember an art change.
It's not like a super amazing change in that sense. It's just
Oh wait, wasn't the last volume the one with all the where it looked very Batman-esque?
Well, depends. Like the last issue was it was a lot more because he had the blood cave and stuff like that, the blood bank.
Oh yeah, right.
But that was just the last issue that was kind of special. The previous four were a lot more detailed drawn, a lot of details, and not sure about photorealistic, at least proportion-wise it was. But, he has really gritty. Here it's kind of like a toned-down version of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, the proportions are there, the feel is there, but it's a lot brighter. Looking at the pages here through the thumbnail view, not just color-wise, but just in general, you can see more block colors, basically. And I think this is because, again, I think the reason for the change, besides potential of, there could be potentially many reasons, but it's just way too time consuming to draw the way he does for regular stuff, or to keep at it that long.
Okay.
But I think this was a nice shift. It's not for example...
Wait, so it's the same guy?
No, but it's not remember the disappointment between Quantum and Woody Volume 1 and 2? Because, you have Tom Fowler with that perfect style for that series. And then, not quite what I'd want to see. I can't remember the artist's name.
Either way, I'm going to have to take your word for it because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, well, either way. I just wanted to make that point.
I literally have I have no visual cue in my mind. You could tell me, you remember Quantum Woody? No, not at all. Not even close.
Yeah, well. How do you feel about finally getting to read the comic, though?
What do you mean?
Well, these pages here, the first ones, have been previewed for many volumes.
Well, again, I skip all these.
Well, yeah, but still, that cat image, it's oh, right, that's going to come up eventually. And it's been months, and oh, right, now we're here.
Honestly, I didn't recognize the whole cat thing. The first thing I recognized was the diner scene. Because the cat thing, that was my indication to start skipping. Because you'd always see the frame around it with next and Bloodshot Reborn, whatever. And I guess the diner scene was, I think, a little bit more prevalent because I had to skip through 2 or 3 pages of that. But yeah. But one thing I never noticed in any of these previews was the nice little Valiant t-shirt that the guy in the front is wearing.
Oh, I did not notice that.
On page 4.
Nice. Good catch.
Yeah. That's kind of funny. Is that supposed to be someone?
I don't know. It could very well be.
Maybe the author or the writer, the artist or something.
It's not impossible. They've done it before in that Archer and Armstrong volume. So, but that's a nice catch, though. So, though it raises so many questions.
Right. Maybe he's from a parallel universe where this world is what is in his comics. he comes to this world to see what's going on, and he goes back to our world and writes down all the stuff that happens.
Maybe.
And that's why it's so believable.
I think you hit the nail on the head there.
I don't know. Oh yeah, totally.
So, but yeah. So I think this is again that was kind of like not necessarily an issue with last volume.
Mm.
I think I mentioned in our last episode with like Reborn Volume 1, it doesn't feel complete. Like, of course, it will always kind of end with that there's more, there's more to come. But he's on the hunt for these, nanites, and he doesn't finish the job in the first volume.
Well, yeah.
So this I feel is kind of nice. Well, I mean, that's, I guess, issue 4 more, but this volume in general is just kind of nice getting like, oh yeah, we finally finished the story that we left. Rather than like being a new chapter,
Right.
so to speak. Like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen next.
Yeah, but it's just like the same thing that I've been mentioning to you about like the South Park episodes, that it is kind of nice to not know what's coming next. And obviously in this case it felt nice because the story was good. You had a 2-volume arc pretty much of him getting his goal, like achieving his goal now. And I like that. I like that's now done here. But also, one of the interesting things about starting a new volume is that you can kind of look forward to having a new story, a new arc each volume. I mean, obviously, if like with South Park, where they decided to just tell one story, or like the examples I like to give was the Game of Thrones parody that they did, where it was like a 3 or 4 episode. Yeah, like a 3 episode thing. That, because I didn't like the first episode of that, and it was just kind of like, now I have to, because I mean, there's such a limited run anyway, like a limited amount of episodes each year, so you're kind of excited for every single episode. And then if they bring a 3-parter in, you're just like, oh god, that's another 2 that there's nothing new, there's nothing interesting to like a new take that they're going to get. It's just going to be the same thing, just continuing the story. And by the way, if you guys hear something in the background, that's my dog is in the room with me, because his spot is the couch that's next to me, and he's cuddling up on it, playing with his new toy, and he might be jumping around a little bit. So if you hear something, it's him.
Sure, blame the dog.
Yeah.
So no, but you're right in that sense, and that's one of the reasons I kind of like the way Valiant sort of publishes. Obviously, it doesn't quite, fit into I'm not going to call it your ideal, but the whole South Park comparison. They do have their series last for several volumes usually. But I like the fact that it's not. They seem to be kind of pragmatic about a lot of stuff. Like, they realize that, okay, this really isn't selling too well, and by volume 2, it's still not selling. It's selling even worse. Like, I think we better wrap it up in volume 3. Or that they already kind of seem to have an idea of how to finish it. Because that way you can have, like, you can end the series and start a new series, but it's not like you're forgetting what's happened. It's just, okay, people like these portions. How about we then do this? Or
well, that's the same thing with South Park, is that we like the characters. We want to see them in different situations. We want to see them dealing with different things. And it's the same thing here. I mean, technically, we can do whatever we want with Bloodshot. I mean, I think Bloodshot is a very nice tool in order to tell different stories, which is another thing that why I like Eternal Warrior so much, is that he is such a good tool that you can put in literally any kind of situation. You can put him in medieval times, you can put him in the future, you can put him into the now, you can put him into a time before time, all that kind of stuff. And
I want to see that crossover.
Yeah, but that's what I mean, is like, when I was starting to write that Kalevala inspired comic, I was like, well, how can I kind of make this interesting to people who maybe know the Valiant universe? It's so easy, like, oh, well, Gilad was there. Done. And then you have this character that that you can then follow, and you don't have to explain who your main character is. You don't have to explain what his journey is, what he needs to do. You just say, look, this is the Geomancer. This is Gila. This is the Eternal Warrior. You know what his mission is with the Geomancer. And now all you need to do is just go with Gilad on this adventure. And it's so easy and it's so nice and it's just so simple. And that's what I think makes it so beautiful, is that you can just have these closed off stories, like short stories, basically, and then you can just, continue on to the next thing without it being like, because a lot of times TV does this with seasons, right? Every season has a different tone to it or a different kind of big bad. But the problem is that the seasons are so long that it's just like, I don't want to, if you don't like the basic premise of the season, that's an entire year of a TV show that's over with. And I don't know why I'm still discussing this, because this Bloodshot Reborn Volume 2 is doing it well. I mean, it's something that I enjoy, and I didn't mind coming back to it. It was like, oh yeah, right, he was still hunting these people, because I totally forgot about what was going on.
Well, luckily they have the recap in the beginning.
Right. But still, it's just like, I'm watching, I'm reading this, and I like it. I'm kind of glad that kind of arc is over now, and that we can maybe move on to something else.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But I would love to see Bloodshot and Magic go on their adventures.
So yeah, no, exactly.
Because I like those characters, and I want to see them in different situations.
Yeah, I gotta say, I was kind of gonna save this for the last issue, like as our conclusion, so to speak. I much more prefer this like Bloodshot Reborn story than like the original run.
Okay.
I don't think you could really do this the same way without the original run. Like, I think it helps give us more of an understanding of what he's been through, rather than just being a guy from nowhere. But it just, I don't know, I think by putting it in this more sort of mundane environment, just like the first volume, it was called Colorado, just a place. But I think by doing that, it just kind of showcases more of the craziness and sadness of his like powers and his past. When you compare like the original series, it immediately starts off with him fighting off, against Psyots and other super soldiers and the like, which again was cool, like exciting stuff. But you don't get this kind of nothing's grounded.
Yeah.
Like here, like this, honestly, just nice. In a way, it's almost kind of. I'm not gonna say that the Jeff Lemire, what's called. How I'm gonna say this? It sounds kind of weird, but
don't worry, he's not gonna listen to it.
Oh, that is the one time he's gonna listen. Like, I'm gonna give these guys a try. What the fuck did he just say about me?
Well, as long as the views expressed by Humphrey does not necessarily reflect the views of Hardcast or Christian Claus.
No, but in a way, this kind of feels a bit like when you compare it then to the original run. This kind of feels like the more cheap direct-to-TV version.
The indie movie version.
Well, like they've taken something. They've taken a series where he before had like all these things where he could rebuild himself from being exploded by a missile. Fighting all these crazy things. And suddenly this could have been filmed very easily. I'm just using the filming as an example in terms of like that is nothing amazing happening in terms of special effects wise.
Yeah, it's literally just putting it down a camera and having actors.
Yeah, to the point where it's almost a little amusing when they're then referring to other Valiant stuff, because this is very self-contained. Like, I don't think it's this issue, but maybe the next one. He says something like, not even the Harada leak got a hold of this.
Right, yeah.
Which again, great. It's good. I like that fact that they are aware of things, and that would have been a relevant point.
Yeah.
But it kind of feels like one of those, like, because a lot of movies these days, these superhero movies, they're not as ashamed of what they are. Still a little bit, I feel, but then, that's me being picky. But it kind of has that feeling like, okay, let's just tell this kind of like serial killer FBI story. But then have this like twist and with a guy with nanomachines or nanites.
Yeah, but this is one of those things where I really like about I feel like a lot of the superhero movies are kind of going back to that now. I mean, if you look at, for example, Logan.
Oh, so good.
I haven't watched it.
Yeah, that's I was a bit worried about saying anything because I was going to compare it to Logan too, but I didn't want to say it in case you haven't seen it.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen it, but I know enough about it. I mean, I know all the plot points basically, but you know what I mean? It's kind of like that in the sense that it is a little bit less flashy. It's just the story, and he happens to have superpowers.
Absolutely.
And that's what I like about these kind of things, because now it's not anymore. Because now we can take superheroes seriously in film, at least. And it's just one of those things where we can now sit down and go like, okay, here's a guy who has claws coming out of his hands. Yes, it's going to be action, but we want you to understand the character. We want you to accept him as a character that you will love, and then you will feel for when he dies and all that kind of stuff. Spoiler alert. This is also another reason why I highly recommend that you, Humphrey, watch Black Dynamite.
I'd love to watch Black Dynamite.
Black Lightning.
I do. You should check out Black Dynamite too.
Black Lightning. Watch Black Lightning. Yeah, okay, I'll check out. No, but seriously, watch Black Dynamite. Black Lightning. Why am I thinking Black Dynamite? I've never seen Black Dynamite in my life.
It just rolls off better, I think.
It does roll off the tongue. It does roll off. No, Black Lightning on Netflix right now streaming.
It's just lightning, Chris.
It is just like this. You know, it's basically Black Lightning when he's a dad now.
Mm.
And I mean, I don't know how much you know about this, but yeah, he's a dad. He has 2 teenage daughters. He's divorced. He's hung up his cape and that kind of stuff. And he's a principal now, and he's talking about how he's doing more good now as a principal. Like, he saved more lives than he ever did as Black Lightning.
Well, I mean, that immediately sounds a lot more interesting in terms of as a setup.
Exactly. And it's just so interesting. I mean, I don't know if Americans are listening to this. I mean, I think America can see it only on the CW. But here in Europe, we can watch it on Netflix because it is a Netflix thing, I guess. I don't know.
I think that, yes, because they don't, I think the rights to the show haven't been given optioned out to TV channels in Europe. So then they gave it to Netflix immediately.
Yeah, but but it's a Netflix original.
How does that make sense though, to have it be Netflix original and then not have it be on Netflix in States?
Maybe it's the same thing like Star Trek. It's also a Netflix original, but it's showing on CBS or whatever it is.
Yeah, but the whole thing about that, well, I don't know, it's weird. Because a lot of these other shows are on HBO Go here, or whatever it's called.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. In Sweden or in Denmark. Yeah.
Yeah, all the Inhumans and a lot of these other shows, like Runaways. So that's on HBO exclusively here.
Yeah, but those were also made for HBO exclusively.
No. I mean, that was ABC for the Inhumans.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about Inhumans. I'm talking about the Runaways.
What's that one? Okay, this is so confusing. Why don't they just have it on one channel?
Yeah, because the problem now is that that Marvel doesn't want to do much with Netflix anymore because Disney's trying to get their own streaming platform out.
Oh God, though. But do you realize what this means?
What? With
Disney buying Fox and Fox airs Gotham, that means Marvel kind of owns a little bit of DC. Oh God, they're slowly taking it over. We're gonna finally get our Marvel versus DC movie.
Oh God, could you imagine?
Even if it was terrible, just the fact that it existed would make it worth it.
I think that movie would be the culmination of all of these superhero movies, and that is going to pop the bubble.
Yeah. Well, you can't top that.
Of these superhero movies. I think you can't top it, right? You can't top it. People are going to come out of that movie and go like, I'm done. We're done. No more superhero movies. This is it. We're done. Love it or hate it, it's just going to be over with. Everyone's going to be like, all right, let's go back to musicals. I don't know. That's going to be the next thing. I don't know.
Anyways, but again, this is a good. This is a good.
Anyways, watch Logan and watch Black Lightning. I actually want you to watch Black Lightning. If you haven't watched it by next weekend, next time we record, I am going to punish you somehow.
Very well.
And not in the sexy way.
Yes, but those things have the hardcast seal of approval. And I just want to mention in terms of that, this comic kind of gets that too, based on how we're talking. Because it's so good that we're not complaining about anything. So we're talking about all other kinds of things.
Well, then let's move on to issue 7. The unknown hunter finds his next victim and retrieves his nanites. Elsewhere, Bloodshot wakes up, having experienced the kill through the hunter's eyes as if he was there. The hunter is moving faster than they are, and they need to hurry. Hoyt and Festival are at the crime scene of the 16-year-old boy from the last issue. The boy's mom is cryptic, and the agents can't get anything interesting out of her. While Magic leaves Bloodshot alone for a while, Kay appears, and it's revealed that maybe Bloodsquirt is with one of the other nanite infected. Our agents meet a CIA guy who gives them a file on Bloodshot. It seems they are closing in on our hero. Bloodshot and Magic close in on the location of the next infected. Bloodshot leaves Magic behind as he goes into the fields to find the guy. However, all he finds is a severed hand, a trap. Behind Magic, a white figure with a red circle on his chest emerges.
So again, also, yes, great continuation.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know. It's just one of those things where you can't really say anything bad about it. I mean,
But it's that kind of. I mean, I know what you mean, but it sounds kind of like that's all you're here for.
well, I mean, that is what it is. I mean, when do we discuss basically the most when we both like either don't like something or we disagree on it? I mean, this is just a good comic. It's a solid storyline. It's told interestingly. The pacing is perfect. I can't really say anything. I mean, there's always little clues here. I mean, I love how like when Bloodshot is naked. I mean, I didn't even notice it the first time because I was looking at another thing in the panel. But he has the circle on his chest in the shadows. Like he has a shadowy chest, and then there's still the circle in the way. It's just these are nice things. I mean, it just feels like there was so much love and effort put into this comic, and it's just nice. There's nothing to complain about. It's just, yeah, the art's beautiful. It reads perfect. Everything's clear. It's just a good comic. I don't know what else to say. I mean, we can summarize all the next issues by just saying it's good. It's great. If you haven't read it, why not? Go read it.
Yeah, but then he has to kind of like gush that a little bit, or so to speak. I really like the opening here. Because, I don't know, this is always... I know how these telemarketers work. It's very rare to see it as an actual job for me. In terms of like actually, oh, you're right, there's someone there actually supervising and all these people doing the same thing. And I don't know, I just thought it was kind of interesting seeing that there, as well as the fact how it's a perfect scenario for like a killing spree, as he kind of starts imagining. And I just find it very interesting how, well, it's very anticlimactic. Like this guy never even got to do anything. Again, good. But also, it's kind of because I totally forgot about how it ended. Like from the first time I read it.
What?
The comic.
Oh, the entire volume, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I remember like the broad strokes, but I forgot like the twist, so to speak. I was kind of double checking here now when this guy, Dwight, gets killed. So, and I think it's let's go. I think they make it very well, not clear in that sense, but they make sure not to show the assailant in order to keep that twist there. I was trying to look at the dialogue to see if there's anything there. And I suppose it kind of, not that they necessarily reveal that it's the child.
Hey, spoiler alert, man.
But it's just kind of, I don't know, like the way it's like the line on page 6, for example. So I'm just like you. They're in my blood. So they're in my blood too. The little machines. I don't know, just an interesting way of setting up this little twist, considering, he was pretty much non-character in the previous volume.
Yeah, and I mean, you didn't even think about him. And obviously, I had totally forgotten about him. I didn't even know that the character existed. So, I mean, again, just it fails as a what for me, because I'm just like, when the reveal happened, it was just like, who? There's nothing. I mean, that's just probably me. But yeah, so I can kind of see it now that I know the twist at the end. I can look at this and be like, oh yeah, okay, well, it's pretty obviously, because that's something that I'd never really liked about the Detective Conan movies, or the I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because they always have the same shadowy figure doing the crime. So if you're not supposed to know who the figure is, they just have this like it's like a character who's completely in shadows, completely black. There's no hair. It's just like if a person was wearing a bodysuit, a black bodysuit, and you could only see their eyes. And obviously they do this so that you can't see their body type, their gender, their hairstyle, anything like that. And you can keep the mystery alive until at the end, when, either you figure it out or the detective figures it out. But it's just a little bit annoying, because it's just kind of like, I don't know. I feel it's kind of cheap. Here they do it just nicely, that they just leave the person out of the panel. But it is weird, because they do have a couple of shots of, that red circle, like especially that last page on the last issue, like the previous issue. They have that guy walking there who looks like kind of like a big guy. And I think that was just a red herring when they were talking about the hunter and stuff like that. And they have this guy walking towards us. I mean, they show it again in the recap of the second issue of this volume.
Yeah, that nice shot of him in a circle.
Right. So you're kind of assuming, okay, this is the hunter. This is his silhouette.
Yeah, but I guess they did what you said there, like the Conan did.
Right. I mean, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, but I mean, obviously with the Conan, it's supposed to be anonymous. Like it looks like one of those, those Facebook profile pictures if you haven't set one yet. Like there's no distinguishing features at all, purposefully so, obviously. But here you have so many distinguishing features. You have like the roughness of the clothes. You have a hairline. You can kind of see how the hair is kind of like a shaggy, longish, mid-length hair.
It's Peter Stanchik.
Oh God, don't even bring up his name, man. Obviously, they would have given it away if they did a silhouette, and I feel like they did it the right way, because if they would have given us an adult sized silhouette and they revealed it to be a kid, it would just be like, wait, so why did this guy kill him? Because I mean, with Conan, that's the convention. But I gotta say, just a little ad thing on the side here. When they do the live action version of Conan, it's so weird, because obviously you can't do that same effect of just having someone. Because so there's this one live action movie that I watched where the killer was supposed to type a message, but they got the actress to wear these thick gloves, like these thick black gloves, while she was typing at a computer. And I don't know, part of me just like, okay, I see what you're doing, because you don't want to reveal, because I mean, obviously you could see that these are feminine hands, so then obviously you're going to cut out all the male suspects. But no one types with gloves on, the thick leather gloves.
Hey, Strong Bad, how do you type with boxing gloves on?
I never watched Strong Bad.
Yeah, I know. But for those few, well, not few, it was pretty popular. But for those who did, there's your reference.
Okay. All right, well, let's continue. So we got to see Magic showing her magic.
No, but it's just kind of nice. And also the setup for... I haven't actually read what they're foreshadowing with the scene with the agents. The whole Bloodshot Island thing. I'm going to have to get to that.
Right, yeah, okay. So that is a thing that exists. Okay.
It was like I said in some previous episode about Volume 3, how that kind of... I haven't read further from there. So what's called so that's kind of thing here. But I'm kind of curious now again when I'm reading it, kind of like, ooh, you're right. What was this about?
Well, it's an island where Bloodshot was born.
It's where all the Bloodshots come from.
It's where all the Bloodshots come from. Blood shoot, blood squat, blood squirt. That's where he comes from. Blood drop.
Yep.
Blood splat.
I'm surprised they haven't done more with that. Just to like
blood stain.
Oh, blood stain. Maybe because I'm thinking of Boku no Hero.
Oh yeah.
But blood stain actually would be like a great sort of like nemesis.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool.
Probably, I guess he'd also have to have nanites, I guess, or maybe some other thing. But yeah, Bloodshot versus Bloodstain.
Oh yeah. Why are you called Bloodstain? 'Cause it's the only thing I leave of my victims.
All right then. Issue 8. Magic gets ambushed by the farmer Bloodshot, but manages to kill him, absorbing his nanites and thus healing her wounds. At the same time, Hoyt figures out who one of the killers could be based on a bus route idea. Bloodshot manages to reabsorb the nanites from Magic, making him pure white again, with the both of them off to get the last target. Ahead of them is the FBI, who realize it's the kid from Volume 1, being spurred on by Bloodsquirt. Hoyt gets a knife flung at him. I gotta say, this is also one of those things where, like, one of the things I like which is very common in superhero stories, like with superpowers and all that and stuff. I love it when the rules make sense. It might sound kind of like, well, duh, they should make sense.
Do they though?
Yeah, but in this case here, I just really like them. Okay, she gets attacked, she manages to kill him, but they make very clear that she gets mortally wounded. And the idea then that she absorbs the nanites and that heals her.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And again, him then like just taking them from her. Again, they kind of half-ass it there with the idea that, oh, it was recent, so you don't have to kill her.
Yeah, that's the part that I'm not 100% happy with.
But I can imagine it could also be her, like, her connection to him.
Well, maybe she allows him to take it.
Exactly. I could imagine that could help a bit because there's an actual connection. So, like, fight it from the inside.
Yeah, okay.
But what I mean is
it me or is she more attractive when she's Bloodshot magic?
Oh, holy
blood
shit,
magic.
How could we not have done that? Blood magic, holy shit. I didn't even think of that. That is perfect. Jeff Lemire, how could you miss this?
Oh, we need to get a comic out. Should be the new Spider-Gwen.
Well,
the alternate universe Bloodshot. What?
Something. Well, again, I haven't read it myself, but
Are you serious? What?
What's called? It seems like Bloodshot has a daughter in some of the latest issues.
Okay.
He has his own blood squirt.
He had his own blood squirt.
Oh, that's because that's how it works.
Oh! I thought that's what you were meant.
No, I just meant like like a nice like a term of endearment to children. Like, hey, there's squirt.
Oh, you meant it? No, I meant it like a.
We all know what you meant, Chris, and we were all looking down at you like very shameful.
All right. I just feel very embarrassed now because all the doors are open and my girlfriend could probably hear me, so she probably heard me make that really stupid joke.
Well, if nothing else, you'll hear it when she listens to the podcast, because I'm sure she does.
Right, because she listens to the podcast.
But my main point was just that I felt this was one of those few examples of having your cake and eating it too. That like works.
Yeah, I never understood that expression.
Well, it's the idea of wanting to have two things that just don't work together.
Well, I know, but I mean, literally having your cake and eating it, that's the point.
Yeah, I know, but it's just this like sort of childish kind of thing about like, oh, but now I don't have it. Like Patrick with the chocolate in SpongeBob. he has his chocolate bar, he eats it, and now he doesn't have it, but he wants to have it still.
Oh, you mean like that? Okay.
But I feel here this works really well, as I said, because of like the rules. The whole idea of the nanites, we know that they heal, we know that it'll go towards other creatures.
Hmm.
Like again, it was very quick. It's not like this was like a long, ticking clock about her like being close to death or something. But it just worked out really well. I think it got this drama going on. It's showed off the powers a bit more. I don't know. I'm just very satisfied when things like that happen, when the powers work in a smart way. But yeah, damn, blood magic. Oh, it's perfect. Well,
Wait, does he have a kid with magic?
I don't know. So
Do you actually not know, or are you just not telling me?
no, I don't know. I don't know who the daughter is.
All right, here we go.
No, don't spoil
Let's go
me.
to
I
the
don't
Google
know.
thing. Does Bloodshot have a
Don't
child
spoil
with
it, Chris. I haven't seen it
magic?
yet.
Ugh. That's the problem with Valiant, is that it's not popular enough to be able to get information from a Google search.
Yeah, not for such banal things. Google won't autocomplete that sentence.
No. Does Bloodshot? I don't know what a Bloodshot is.
You're gonna get all these medical pages.
All right. Did you mean blood squirt? I have a lot of things for blood
But I
squirt.
have to. There's this. Here's I guess one of the few criticisms I guess I could have, or not really criticism, just question. On page 9, this spread when the Agent Festival is reading the documents.
Yeah.
In that lower left corner with the shot of what's it called, Bloodshot punching Harada.
Yeah.
Is that something that was left in like those lines, those yellow lines? Is that something that was left over that they forgot about, like a layer they forgot to hide in Photoshop? Because it doesn't fit at all.
I don't know why. Because it looks like some sort of it just looked like it's the paintbrush tool.
Yeah, with a glow effect. It's like it doesn't fit at
Yeah.
all with it. And even if we're to assume that it's like supposed to be like him punching and the effect, it's just so lackluster, to put it mildly.
Mildly.
That I don't know. I'm just like, did they forget this? Is this a mistake? I kind of hope it is.
Yeah, maybe that was like the outline, and then it was like, here, add effect here, and then no one actually added the effect ever.
Yeah, something like that. Like maybe the colorist was supposed to something, some kind of like blur, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's like the only thing I've found in the volume where I was like, what?
Yeah, that's weird.
I mean, again, it wouldn't be the first time.
Or do you think it's one of those things? Is this a shot from the actual comic at some point? Because maybe they duplicated the layer from Photoshop, and then for whatever reason, maybe because it was a newer version, it didn't automatically take the effect along, because it's now called a new effect or something like that. So then they thought it was just fine. They're just like, oh, let's just copy it and put it in there. That's good. It's all good. And then no one ever double checked it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that shots.
I mean, I've had that's happened to me at work a couple of times. I mean, not that I published anything with that.
No, but you've noticed it happening.
I've copied layers, and then because I've never worked on a big thing where it's like it's a small thing. It's usually I just have to redo it and then change something. But yeah, it does happen where you copy something from an old Photoshop document, and then it's just like, I don't know how to process this, so I'm just going to make yellow lines.
I could very well be. I don't know. So I should try adding people on Twitter. See if I can find the artists.
Yeah, be like, hey, did you fuck this up?
Yeah, no, I know it's several years ago, but do you remember?
Give us answers. Yeah, that does look weird.
Yeah, again, it doesn't kill the comic or anything, but just so out of place.
No, I didn't even notice it when I read it first time. Yeah.
I mean, I can remember it the first time I read it either, but this time I saw it and like, what is that? So, well, whatever.
Issue 9. The hunt for Toby begins. Bloodshot confronts Toby, Kay, and Bloodsquirt. Toby keeps shooting Bloodshot only for him to walk closer to him and break his neck. While he's out for the count, Bloodshot takes back his nanites from the dead kid and then points the gun at Bloodsquirt, since apparently he's to blame for all of this. But before he can shoot his own imagination, Magic and Festival, just weird names, show up and Magic talks him down. Like our Lord and Savior Batman, Bloodshot decides to take all the blame for all the killings, so Toby, who apparently is still alive, can have a shot at life. Bloodshot and Magic run into the sunset and will be fugitives for the next couple of months. I don't know. Bloodshot and Magic run into the sunset and will be fugitives. There we go. Issue 9.
Yep.
Very Dark Knighty.
Oh yeah, very red.
Dun, 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 dun.
Looking at the thumbnails here is like, whoa,
Red.
Just red, and white.
Oh, I thought you meant red as in like the movie Red.
No.
Well, it's the dramatic conclusion, Humphrey. It has to be all rainy and red. It is raining, by the way. It has to be rainy and red, and everything in slow motion. Like a lot of shouting in slow motion, but for whatever reason, the sound is still normal motion. You got that little Sin City thing where it's just the silhouettes and the color in the backgrounds. It's all there, man. Drama.
Oh yeah, no.
This is the kind of scene that you'd have to get what's his face? What's that director called who does
Zack
like
Snyder.
did 300 and so on? Zack Snyder. This is the kind of thing that you need Zack Snyder to direct.
Oh, definitely.
See, this is what we do. We get Zack Snyder to direct this, and then Joss Whedon to come in to direct the rest because it went so well.
Oh, I liked it.
Did you hear that thing where they actually wanted to have the Zack Snyder?
Yeah, you told me about that.
Director's
the fans
cut.
Decided to make a fundraiser for it.
Yeah, fundraiser for Jesus Christ,
Well, for the CG effects that they'd have to pay for.
Yeah, just Jesus Christ. It's like, here, complete the Zack Snyder version of the movie. Here, $1 billion company, we will give you $200,000. It's like, what?
Yeah, no, I mean, again, I'd love to have seen it, but yeah, this is not.
Humphrey, sometimes fans can be stupid. Sometimes fans can be stupid. Not our fans, though. Our fans are the best. Also, Valiant fans.
Our fans can't be stupid if we don't have any.
Yeah.
Yes, I was doing the thing with my hand too.
I see the meme inside you. Yeah, I did it too. Oh my god. But also Valiant fans are generally pretty cool, from what I've seen online.
That's the nice thing with. I mean, that's one of the reasons. I do want Valiant to become big, but I think I understand hipsters a lot better now.
You're gonna see like some hot girl with like a Bloodshot t-shirt going around. And you'll be like, oh, you don't even know anything about Bloodshot.
And then she'll be like, dude, it's a Japanese flag.
Right. I'm half Japanese. Like, oh shit. Okay.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So you were just okay. So it's a Rai shirt.
It's a Rai after he fell down to earth shirt. Or is it one from before? Because I don't think he can wear the one from before because it's a whatever symbol.
But nah, it's a nice conclusion to it all.
It is a nice conclusion. I like Bloodshot a lot more after this. I think the fact that he's kind of together with Magic and didn't run out on her, because it was so obvious it was going to be one of those things where it's like, she even mentioned it in universe. It was just a whole like, no, you're going to get hurt if you come with me. If you come with me, you're going to die. I'm so cool and dark and I'm so actiony and people are going to die and stuff. And I just like that she just didn't take that bullshit. She was just like, okay, no, I'm going to stay with you. And I love that he's also kind of changed because of it, Like especially afterwards, after the whole thing happens, like when they're in Chicago, then he just seems so much more human, so much more relatable, and just it just feels it just feels nice that he's kind of he's getting a break, you know?
Well, that's what you need sometimes. So, because it's again,
Yeah.
yes, I mean, I can't remember the exact quote, but it's a, like kind of a writing advice about you have to put your characters through hell. But the thing is, like, yes, you should, but not just within reason, but you have to have, as you said, get a break, because otherwise you're gonna get apathy.
Yeah. Yeah, and also at some point you're just kind of like, oh god, this guy is just it's just horrible. I mean, you want to see your hero win a couple of times,
Exactly.
because then otherwise you're just kind of like, well, who is this loser?
Which is kind of one of the issues. I have been hearing some reviews from some of the recent Spider-Man comics. So, and apparently that's been an issue for
Yeah.
the last like few months now. Apparently with some, I don't know if it was a new writer or a new direction they went, but apparently they really like flanderized the whole sort of loser portion of him.
Ah, come on.
So now again, I haven't read it myself, so I can't say my own take on it. But just one of those things where it's like, I think it kind of doesn't work as well now because he's an adult. Again, not saying adults can't be losers.
Oh, so he's an adult in the comics.
Oh yeah, yeah, for ages. I mean, again, it's the whole sliding timeline thing, which is
Okay.
always an issue about. I mean, he's been a
Oh
chemistry
Jesus.
teacher. So, and the thing right now was that,
Yeah, he didn't he work for Oscorp for a while,
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of weird things like that.
or is that a different universe or timeline that I'm talking about?
I'm sure he has, but the big thing right now, or that was before, was that he basically started his own tech company. So he's basically sort of Tony Stark light. But then something happened. I think Doctor Octopus did something like he hacked it, and the only way to stop it all was for him to like destroy the whole company. But that created huge repercussions because as the company that was in charge of all these like cloud services and devices, suddenly all these things that people have bought didn't work, and he's like was sued or something. And it was some weird thing like that, and basically he's been basically homeless. Not homeless, but he's basically lost all his money and stuff, and everyone hates him.
Oh Jesus Christ.
And that's what I mean. Like it's okay, we get it. We wanted to put him in a situation like this, but like just the way it's been done, and like he finally had a break, and like it's a little too much.
Yeah.
That's all. But I also meant though with the first two volumes, we completed the first arc of Bloodshot Reborn.
Yeah.
And again, it's a nice setup in terms of. I mean, as we were joking about in the first volume, you have this whole big event, the Valiant, that ends with him losing his powers, only to have his first, reintroduction be, oh, all right, he needs his powers back. But I feel it worked really well. It's just because again, I like the idea that after K from the Valiant had them, removed the nanites, that they didn't just disappear or break.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I like that angle too.
So that they because again they're microscopic, so we can't see them.
But could you imagine if this was a TV show? I mean, this would be an entire season.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you'd have to add a little bit more, I guess, for the
I mean,
electric.
think about it. Yeah, you'd have to have more nanites, like more people infected, and then you'd also have to have like subplots within those stories. So you'd have like you basically a monster of the week, and then every other week or every 3 weeks, one of those monsters would be another bloodshot infected, like another nanite infected.
Well, you'd put a little bit more, I guess, not necessarily backstory, but yes, some more like quote unquote filler, like that teenager, like who
Yeah.
was killing the cats.
Hmm.
I mean, again, you don't have to necessarily
Yeah.
like show him entirely. But you'd have to have a lot more about him and maybe like scenes with his mother or something. Like maybe she worries about him. He has some more stuff to kind of like both fill up the time as well as raise the tension. But yeah, it's like you were saying though, this was just super solid, well done.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a shame. I mean, I'm really hoping that they just carry on like this, because it would be so sad, because Valiant is so good. I mean, I know that we're far in the past as to what's happening currently, and I just really hope that the comics can continue to being this good. I really, really hope that the funding doesn't like get taken away from the the comic side of this company and just get all pushed into that multimedia side. I don't know. It's just I wish, because these stories are so good. I really love this.
No, I agree. I mean, again, I already spoiled about Volume 3, but
And I definitely want to be. I want to play Eternal Warrior, so that's going to be my goal. So 2025, maybe I'll be playing the Eternal Warrior in a
all
Valiant movie.
right. Well, you have my support.
Wouldn't
I'd
that be
watch it.
awesome? No, I just need to continue being. Actually, at least I'm going to cosplay as Eternal Warrior maybe next year, because there's that convention that I go to every year. So no one's going
I
to
hope
know.
they have an award for most obscure costume.
Hey, I went as Snufkin from the Moomins, and almost no one recognized me. I had a couple of people, but my goal is that if I go as Gilad, no one's going to
Yeah, I
recognize
think
me,
that's a pretty safe bet.
especially here in Germany.
So check out the comic book shop again sometime and see if they have any Valiant just as a gag.
They do.
They do.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't you remember last time I actually went to the comic book store and I actually checked if they had some Valiant stuff, and they actually had the next volume that we were going to read. They had it there.
Oh, like
And I was gonna get it. I sent you a picture of this. I remember I actually sent you a picture of
no, I'm
this.
not doubting that you did. I just can't remember myself right now.
Yeah, I think it was actually Bloodshot Volume 2 or 3 or something like that. And I was gonna get it, but it was like
Oh
ridiculously
yeah.
expensive. Because again, it was in English, so it wasn't like a German version of it. It was in English. It was an import from America, and it was just. I don't even know if they translate
I
Valiant
don't know.
into
I
German.
remember reading. It wasn't really an article as much as like a press release blog post from the Valiant site. But they were mentioning about the
Yeah,
languages that they've translated Valiant into. Yeah, yeah.
I mean Spanish
I think
probably,
even
right?
Japanese. Well, again, it's small
Really?
imprint. I'm sure it's not like they're selling them in every
Yeah,
manga shop in Japan. I'm sure there's I'm sure they have a lot.
yeah.
Well, I was gonna say like it's not quite the same. I was gonna say it's not quite the same. What would you call it? Like reversal, because I was kind of wanted to make the impression that manga there's like manga shops in the states. Amongst the big comic book shops, it's like
Mm.
wait, no, actually, they're the ones who are selling most.
What do you think? Like, what was it? I think I saw somewhere on Tumblr or something like that. Someone was asking, do people in Japan like stay up late to wait for the new sub version of Bob's Burgers? Because like, or like the new sub for I don't know, South Park or Simpsons or something like that.
Well, I do know that there were a lot of Japanese bronies. I remember
Yeah, but here's the thing. I mean, as someone else commented in that whole thing as well, it's like no, because they know how to speak English.
that too. That too.
Because I mean, just from the international way that the globalization and stuff like that is, it's just the English speaking people who don't bother learning other languages.
Well,
So
them's the
yeah,
breaks.
but there are American otakus though. Like I mean, not otakus that are American. I mean,
Westahoos.
yeah. Is that what it's called?
I've heard a lot of people say it. I don't know how common it is, but I like it.
Really? I, I'm just amazed that there is such a thing, that there's like Japanese people who are so enthusiastic about the U.S. that they,
Well, it's like haven't you seen that
yeah.
one like 4chan screen grab making fun of those like what's called like the neckbeards who love Japan?
I mean, that's a very broad category of.
No, but like there's this one where it's like you some guy with like some fat neckbeard with a fedora will like take a picture of himself holding a katana, and it's like this one long post. I think it's like
Yeah,
copy pasta by now. But it's about like, hi, I'm
right.
what's called I'm Johnny Watanabe or whatever. So like, yeah, I changed my
What?
name legally or whatever. And yeah, like I'm gonna come to the
Oh,
rising
Jesus.
land of the rising sun and learn the ways of the sun. Just really cringy.
Yeah. Like the kind of thing like they'll finally accept me in Japan.
Yeah, something weird like that.
I like that cringy thing where like these neckbeard kind of guys, they expect that if they go to Japan that all the Japanese women will just be like flocking towards their dicks.
Oh well.
Uh
But there was then like I'm assuming it's a parody because it's just too good. But it's basically the same thing, but it's like a Japanese guy holding like having a cowboy hat and like a
right.
revolver, and it's like,
Yeah.
"Hi, I'm Kenichi Smith,"
Yeah.
and it's like, "Yeah, yes, right. I'm gonna come to I'm gonna come to the superior culture of America, and live in Texas where I get to rustle cows and." So honestly, I would watch that movie. It's like I actually saw this as a sort of. It started off as just like a complaint regarding Iron Fist. So because a lot of people, and again, I'm personally a bit tired of it myself. But the whole kind of like the white
Mm,
guy comes to like a foreign like culture and then learns the culture better than they do. So they had some people were
yeah.
slowly doing this whole thing about like the what's called like the reversal of Iron Fist about this what's called Asian girl coming to Texas and then becoming like the expert in this super revolver or something like a magic revolver. But the thing was like
Okay.
the post was just continuing and people were basically writing the whole show there. Like, oh god, this sounds great.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I always have the problem with that because I always feel um they made a big deal about the Last Jedi because it has a lot to do with like interpretation, and in English when you say the Last Jedi, is that singular or plural?
Well, it has just been confusion about it, and I think they've personally kept it like that because it's varied in different languages where it's not vague or like ambiguous.
Right, because in German the translation is die letzten Jedi,
Mm.
plural. And that's also something that I was a little bit annoyed about because there's a lot of criticism about my favorite movie,
Mm.
The Last Samurai. The same idea. The Last Samurai. Is it plural or is it singular? And the thing is, no one cares enough about that movie to actually have that discussion. Not like with Star Wars, where everyone just, just
Oh
freaks
boy,
the
yeah.
fuck out about
Goodness gracious.
Star Wars.
It's its own
Yeah, it's just
subgenre
horrible.
now. The people complaining and the defending the Last Jedi. Like,
Oh god. Anyway, so the problem is in the German translation, they do it singular, and I'm thinking to myself like, did you watch the movie? Because it's not about the one, like Tom Cruise is not the last samurai. It's not the one thing. And this is what I hate about this whole like cultural thing is like where he comes in. I mean, first of all, he does not become the best samurai. He becomes adequate, right? From the beginning on, he was sympathetic to the Native Americans of America that he was being forced to kill and destroy their lands and all that kind of stuff. And then when he went to Japan, he saw a reflection of the Native Americans in the Japanese samurai. So that's why he joined him, not because he was just like, oh, Japan is so super, I'm going to become blah, blah, blah.
He was the
And
first weeaboo.
no. I really hate because I love that movie so much. I cry at the end of it
No,
every
but
single time.
I've seen it a little bit. Yeah, no, I've seen
Wait,
it, but I
have you
meant
not
in
watched
terms
it?
of people's reactions to it, because I think it's gotten a little bit better praise over time. So like, there's this really good YouTube channel called History Buffs.
Okay.
So and they reviewed it, and they had like the same sentiment that you did,
Oh, yeah.
in terms of like, yeah, it's not, it's not actually at all what people criticize it for. Like, it's a very surface level thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the thing that people criticize it before they even watch it. They just see The Last Samurai and then see Tom Cruise's face on it and be like, oh, well, he's the last samurai and he's likely going to be the best samurai and blah, 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 blah. Anyway.
So that's the kind of the sentiment that the film has had, and again, it's understandable with certain films. It's like also, which one was it? The Last King of Scotland.
I never watched it.
That's pretty good, but again, it's the whole thing. There, you have the what's it called? You have a white guy as the framing device, as the guy we follow. So rather than just telling a story with just Africans, or at least primarily Africans.
Mm. Another last thing that I'm going to kind of bring here. The Last of the Mohicans. I thought, as 1/8 Mohawk, that the plural of Mohawk was Mohican. It is not. My grandmother told me that. So Mohican are apparently a different tribe of the Native Americans. So there are no Mohawk movies. So maybe Humphrey, you and I should make a Mohawk movie. Seriously, if I ever win the lottery, you and we're gonna be making a movie.
Yay! If we can only decide on what.
I will figure something out. Maybe we'll make a feature-length film club.
Yay! Inside references.
Inside references that no one knows.
But actually, as an actual discussion regarding the comic, the final 4 pages, the whole resolution and the choice Bloodshot makes.
Yes.
So is it a nice and poignant end for like a great new beginning, or is it a cop-out?
I think it's stupid that they drove all the way there for him to just burn it and leave. I think if I was Magic at this point, I would just be like, seriously, we came all the way to Chicago for this. You couldn't have burned it somewhere else. You couldn't have burned it on the interstate while we're on our way to New York. You have to do this here in front of your house. We're not even going to go inside. I don't know. I'd be a little bit pissed. But it looks like he was pretty wealthy, if his name is actually Garrison.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's a smart choice, like narratively. It opens him up for whatever you want, as you kind of mentioned in the first issue. Like, he works really well, and if we were to give him a very, like, even if we have him, like, ignore his past, if we do have a past that we actually know concretely, you do kind of, well, you kind of set things up in a sense. Like, immediately you wonder then, okay, who was the family involved? Who were these? What other connections?
Right.
By cutting that out entirely, he's just free to, any future writer is free to do what they want.
Right, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Storytelling-wise, it's a smart move, because then you can have these amazing reveals slowly. Like if Bloodshot would walk into that house right now, you would get all the answers. But this way, they can just kind of spread it out over the next couple of years until some hypothetical Chinese company takes them over.
Exactly.
I mean, you can have like nice reveals where then like this big enemy that Bloodshot's fighting for like 4 issues.
Don't you recognize your own son?
Yeah, something like that. Or like, don't you recognize your own father?
Bum, bum, bum.
I am the original blood squirt.
But at the same time, it's one of those things that I kind of feel.
There was once a day when you were just a blood squirt, son.
That was another one of those things where.
Thankfully, son, you weren't just a blood swallow. I'm sorry.
No, but it's kind of like because I kind of like it when it's kind of simplified like this as well.
Hmm.
Because, for example, I never saw Amazing Spider-Man 2.
You never seen Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Yeah, no, it just never like I missed it out on theaters because no one was interested, and then it just haven't been bothered watching.
Oh, we're gonna watch this Amazing Spider-Man 2 when you come over.
Sure thing. But in terms of the first one, where they give this whole setup about Peter Parker's parents being like shield agents or something,
Oh yeah, something like that, yeah.
it's one of those things like, okay, cool, yeah, of course, you have this, you put in an interesting dramatic thread here, and it kind of helps, add some events for later or whatever, a good seed.
Hmm.
But it's something I've heard a lot of
Yeah.
people criticize with a lot of modern iterations of superheroes for both DC and Marvel. It's this idea that everyone's trying to make everything connected, like everything's like important, and it kind of, for a lot of characters, it removes the idea of them just having agency at times. Like if Peter Parker just isn't this guy who learned to take responsibility after his lack of responsibility got his uncle killed.
Hmm. Right.
If they suddenly didn't have, again, I don't know about Amazing Spider-Man 2, so I don't know if there's more about it. But if they didn't have something about that, no, his parents already experimented on him or something, or gave him a serum so he could survive something could happen, or then it's like, no, but then it wasn't.
Yeah.
The whole idea of an accident is gone then. So it's something I remember I heard some people complaining about, like Naruto way back. So that it's the whole kind of premise of him being this sort of, what would you call it? Not failure specifically, but just this kind of loser in a sense. Never quite manages
Hmm.
to do anything right despite his ambition. But but it shows the whole idea of working hard. So which he does do. But it's kind of lost then when it's turned out that his parents then were like the most amazing ninjas ever, and like he was kind of like destined to be the leader of the tribe, not the tribe, but the country or whatever.
Okay.
It kind of like removes the idea that like when it's about this whole idea of destiny, about it was all set up years ago.
Yeah, it's kind of like with that Harry Potter theory.
Or the like Neville thing, or
Yeah, yeah, you heard that, but then
well, it's a part of the book, or what do you mean?
what do you mean the Neville thing?
Well, you say the first then.
Well, because there was a theory put forth before the final book came out that Neville Longbottom was actually the chosen one.
Well, it's not really a theory; it's true.
Well, no, it's not true because I mean Harry was the one he was the Horcrux at the end.
Well, yeah, but basically, I think the idea about that is more that it could have been either or. I think the point of it was more to show that there's really nothing special about Harry.
Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I guess that's the one.
I think that was the point at least. I'm not sure if there's more to it.
Well, because I feel like the way that they were kind of bringing it up, it kind of felt like there was supposed to be some sort of reveal at the end that, that is act because there was the whole thing that only the chosen one was able to kill Voldemort, and it was Harry who did it then in the end. And that's what I mean is that like I'm feeling like I thought what was going to happen was that Neville was going to step up, and then suddenly for whatever reason it was him that was able to kill Voldemort, like actually kill him.
Mm.
And that's what I was thinking, and I felt like that's kind of what J.K. Rowling was planning, but then because people figured it out or kind of thought about it beforehand, she didn't want to kind of just do what people had guessed, so she was going to like, oh no, it was just Harry all the time. I mean, obviously,
she Ryan Johnson did.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, but I don't know. I don't know.
It's but I can appreciate the sentiment, at least that I was saying regarding it, in terms of that. No, yeah, sure, you are special because of the thing happening, but the thing didn't happen to you because you were special.
Well, wasn't it? What is that called? The self-fulfilling prophecy.
I suppose so. If you say the thing is going to happen, the knowledge of the prophecy is what puts it in motion.
Well, that was the thing, because everyone keeps telling Harry Potter that he's brilliant, he's amazing, and he's like the chosen one and all that stuff. So obviously he thinks that he's the chosen one. He seeks out adventure, he seeks out danger in order to prove himself. He feels like he's the only one who can do something about this. Like when he needs to go find the Sorcerer's Stone in the first movie, even, or the first book, it's like he's not, because he just feels like he is destined to do this. He's the only one who can. He's the one who has to, because he's the destined one. He's the chosen one. Anyway, this podcast is getting really long.
Yeah, might as well call it the Harry Potter cast.
Closing thoughts for Bloodshot Reborn, Volume 2.
Again, yes, super solid. I mean...
super solid.
I mean, again, it felt more like a really long gap between two books, or like two chapters. Because it just flows seamlessly, except for the art, of course.
Perfectly. Beautifully.
But it's like, yeah, yes, I was just curious about how it was going to end, and it ended well.
Yep. Yeah, it's totally satisfying, riding off into the sunset. Like so many Lucky Lukes before him. All right, well, with that, you can discuss this episode on Reddit, you can tweet us, or you can follow us on Facebook. Also, all of our episodes are available on our hosting site, Podbean. Links are in the show notes. Catch us next time for
Ivar Time Walker, Volume 3, Ending History.